Backed by popular demand. Let's build a parlay for Thursday Night Football. Tonight, the Atlanta Falcons take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for Thursday Night Football. So let's go ahead and build our parlay. First things first, there's a special going on for anytime touchdowns. So we're going to start with that. If you were already familiar with who scores the most touchdowns, you won't need to do this part. But I do have a pretty good idea who scores the most often on both of these teams. But I'm just going to verify my knowledge. So I'm going to look up the person that I want to choose, which is Tyler. And again, I'm always using the ESPN app to check stats. I'm looking to see how many times recently he has scored anytime touchdowns. Looks to be a pattern. He scores almost every other game, and he didn't score last game, so probable that he'll score this time. So I'm going to select him for my touchdown jackpot. So now that bet is placed, we're going to go on to build our parlay. Of course, we're always going to start with the quarterbacks and their passing props. Starting with Baker Mayfield, we're going to look up and see what his game log looks like. In the last few games, he's been pretty inconsistent. I think he also got hurt one of those games. But it looks like for most games this season, he has at least 125 passing yards and at least one passing touchdown. So that is what we're going to stick to. So we'll enter that in here. Next, we're going to move on to the other quarterback, which would be Kirk Cousins, and check out his game stats. Now, as you can see, he has not played that many games this season, but for the most part, he has been pretty consistent in the games where he played the entire game. So for Kirk Cousins, we're going to go with 150 passing yards. Now, moving on to our wide receivers, we're going to enter in all of the wide receiver props. Also, make sure you pay attention to the news that's on the overview tab, because that will tell you if the player is questionable or may not play for the day. So let's go ahead and enter in all of the receiving props. Now that we have finished all of our receiving props, let's move on to our rushing props. So the first person's information we're going to look up is Bijan. Now for running backs, you always want to make sure that you're looking up the rushing and receiving props, because some of the running backs do have receptions as well as rushing yards. So for Bijan, we're going to go with 80 of both rushing and receiving yards. Then we'll go ahead and look up the other stats for the other running backs and fill those in as well. Also, if there's a mobile QB that's playing like we have in Baker Mayfield, you might want to add some rushing yards. Now that we have all of the rushing yards in, let's move on to touchdown score props. Again, I'm always going to start with my favorite touchdown section, which is the either or player to receive a touchdown. And for this one, I really like Bucky or Tyler to receive a touchdown. So that's the one that I'm going to select, and that will end this parlay. So now that we have all of the legs of our parlay together, we also have a profit boost token. So we'll go ahead and enable that, and then we'll place our bet. Now, by the time I got ready to actually place this bet, they had removed Baker Mayfield from having 125 passing yards. So I did just remove that one. So the bet now has 15 legs. Remember to gamble and tell responsibly, and good luck.